What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here today, you guys, with a brand new review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16. This is Reunion Part 2, you guys. Now, before I do get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, you guys, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Part 2 of the reunion. Shall we? Good afternoon, La Queen. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good Monday, because I am having a great Monday myself. All right, you guys. So part 2. So you guys know that I watched the uncensored version on Peacock. So if you guys watched it on Bravo last night, there will be some things that I discussed that you guys probably didn't see because I watched both versions, but Peacock's version is better. You get the cussing and you get it extended. And last night's episode was extended. So tell me what you guys thought about part 2. Part 2 solidified some things that I felt going in leaving this season. And we can definitely discuss that because leaving part 2, I have a little bit of I ain't got no little bit of a side eye for Shamea. I have a big side eye for Shamea leaving part 2 of the reunion because this reunion ain't doing Shamea any favors in my personal opinion. But part 2 picks up where we left off. And we're still talking about Angela, Phaedra, Junebug, Kim, this Kim lady, and Phaedra's brother Jock, right? So Angela says that the reason that that guy said Junebug is because he was protecting his sister. And I was like, that's so weird, Angela. Again, Angela, like I said, y'all know I do like Angela. But when it comes down to this whole Angela, Phaedra, Junebug, and Marcus thing, as I've said once before, I'll say it again. I really honestly think Angela got played by this Marcus guy, and Marcus just wanted, 15 minutes of camera time. And I think that that's ultimately what happened. So Angela keeps insisting that Marcus knows Phaedra's brother, right? So then Angela said that Phaedra, because, they were like, what does Phaedra get out of this? You guys remember last week's episode, she said that Phaedra was trying to secure her spot, but Phaedra said that she was already guaranteed for season 17. So then not Phaedra, but Angela also says that she feels like Phaedra was self-producing. And I was like, I can see that. That I actually can't see self-producing, but if she was self-producing, then she would have easily said it was her. Because the difference between what happened with Candy and Phaedra and this situation with Angela, there's nothing legally that can be done. This is just a rumor. This is just something that can't be substantiated. Same thing with Candy, but Candy and those RAPE allegations, those were those life altering, right? This with Angela, a judge will laugh this out of court. So I think that's like one thing that I will say is the difference between Angela's situation and Candy's situation. So then, Angela also said, you said you knew Charles, but Charles doesn't know you. And, Phaedra's like, I've been in rooms where Charles was and all this kind of stuff. Then they started arguing about the rooms I'm in versus the rooms that you're in. I was like, well, this is stupid. That was really dumb, right? So then Phaedra was like, you know what? Let me see your phone so I can call my brother up, right? So Porsha has her phone right beside her. And so she uses Portia's phone. And Andy was like, will your brother answer? She was like, yeah, he'll answer. And lo and behold, he definitely didn't answer the phone, right? Now, I did see people on social media saying that, Phaedra could have orchestrated this. And true, but it's not like Phaedra called her brother from her phone. She called him from Portia's phone. And she called she did dial his number by memory. I was like, wow, I don't know anybody my phone number. I don't know anybody's number by heart. I used to know my best friend's phone number by heart, but I don't even think I know her phone number by heart because she's changed it. And I had a cousin that I knew her phone number by heart, but she changed this. But neither here nor there, right? So Phaedra called her brother up. She asked her brother, like, so we're at the reunion, you're being recorded. And she was like, so Angela is saying that you know this woman named Kim. And he was like, I don't know the woman, right? And then Angela, but he's friends with her on Facebook. And here's the thing, Angela, I get you trying to say that he's friends with her on Facebook, but like I said last week, I don't even use Facebook anymore, but I still have my Facebook page open. And there are so many people on my Facebook page that are friends with me that some of them I've never met and probably never will meet. And some of them I did go to school with them, but we weren't friends like that. And I didn't know them that well, but I knew them, kind of, kind of through passing, and it was okay with that. So the whole Facebook thing, Angela, I don't know if this is the hill that you want to, fall on the sword, but okay. So after that, he ended the call. So Angela then says that they were at the Hawks game, and I remember when they posted the videos of them at the Hawks game. So Angela says that while they were there, a woman that was with Phaedra came up to Angela saying, "I'm such and such," with the hands. Now Angela's like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "Come on now, we know what." Well, Andy may not know what that means, but such and such with the hands means, yeah, bitch, you talking shit about Phaedra. Well, I'm the one with the hand. So if you want to see me, let's go outside. So Phaedra was like, well, what did you say to, she was like, what did you, why come you didn't tell me? And Angela was like, she doesn't get down like that or whatever. And I was like, but Angela, what was your response? Like, did you say something back to this woman that threatened you? I don't see you just taking it that easily. Good. I keep wanting to say good morning, but good afternoon, Kiwan. How are you doing today? Hope you are having a great Monday as well. But I mean, like the whole thing with Angela, I get where Angela's coming from. Is it, like I said before, is it plausible that Phaedra could have done this? Absolutely. Do I think Phaedra did this? No. And you guys know I'm not a fan of Phaedra, but I just don't think that this was Phaedra. I just really think that this was Marcus trying to get 15 minutes of fame off of Bravo and the Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's my personal opinion. You guys may agree, disagree, and it's fine if you disagree, but let's be respectful when it comes to that, right? So then Kelly mentions Angela being on the after show, and that Angela made a comment that Kelly was basically, and I'm paraphrasing when I say this, that Kelly was comparing her relationship and Angela's relationship and saying that she hopes that Angela doesn't end up like her, right? So Kelly says that I didn't say that. And Angela's like, yes, she did. Now they did show the clip of Kelly when she was like, what about that baby? But after that, Bravo showed an unaired footage where Kelly was saying to Angela, I've been in a position like yours before, and I don't want you to end up like me. And I was like, okay, Kelly. So this also like I said in part one of the reunion, and I'm gonna say it again in part two. The one thing that I realized from this reunion is that these ladies lie. A good majority of these women are liars, but I've been saying that all season that everybody lies on this show. Like, not one person on that stage, with the exception of maybe Cynthia and Angela. Angela, I don't know if I would say Angela lies more so than Angela tells half truths. Well, hell, it's still a lie. So, okay. So Kelly was like, if I said that, which I don't remember saying it, but if I said it, then I apologize to you. Now, y'all know me. I hate a if but apology. If a person is telling you, you said this, you did that, then just say, you know what, that wasn't my intention. I don't remember. Now, here's the thing, I don't remember saying that shit, but if not even if, I don't remember saying that, but you're saying that I said it. So since you say that, I have no other choice but to believe that I said it and it wasn't my intention, and I absolutely apologize for that. That's the easiest way to say an apology, not if, not but. So leaving it at that. But Kelly gave one of those BS apologies, right? So then Andy read a viewer question where they questioning Angela's age, right? So Angela brought her birth certificate, and on her birth certificate it says that Angela was born in 1981. I was like, okay. And the thing with Angela, here's my thing when it comes to Angela and her age. And I think I've said this plenty of times all season about Angela and her age. It's not that Angela looks like she's old, it's the fact that Angela presents herself as a more mature person. And that's why Angela comes off as she's older than what she is, because Angela is very, she looks very distinguished and mature. But that's it. So then after that, Andy mentioned Phaedra, and Phaedra commenting on Angela's age. And I think I've said this plenty of times before when it came to Phaedra and Angela. And Angela, Phaedra talking about how she's the oldest looking 40-something-year-old woman she saw before. Y'all do realize that those interviews with the producers, those are filmed after the show has finished wrap. Sometimes they film it during filming, while they're filming, but most times the majority of it is filmed post season. It's filmed after the season is aired, not after the season is aired. It's finished after the season has finished filming. So that's why Phaedra was saying what she was saying, because I guess this is after, the whole finale episode where she was accused of doing this with Marcus. So Phaedra decided at this point, let me shade her. And again, y'all know Phaedra ain't my favorite person, but I have to call out right when I have to say what I feel. When something makes sense and doesn't make sense, I'm gonna call it out right and wrong. She's mature. She absolutely is. That's what it is with Angela. I don't think Angela, she just presents mature. Not that she looks old, she just presents it. So after that, Andy did mention there was a viewer question to Angela, like, girl, have you gone to see a doctor to, see if you are perimenopausal? I don't think she said she's gone to see a doctor, but she definitely did say she could be perimenopausal. And I'm like, you definitely aren't, Angela. You got to be perimenopausal. And here's the thing: there's absolutely nothing wrong with being perimenopausal. I mean, shit, we get older. We're gonna all get older, right? And our bodies are definitely going to change as we get older. So it's a part of life. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing to feel anything about. We getting older, because it's going to happen to all. We're going to get old, and we all going to die. That is one thing that's going to happen for all of us. Get older, and we're going to die. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. It's going to happen. So then after that, and this I know was exclusively on the uncensored version of the show, Andy had a question from a viewer asking Angela if she talked to her daughter and figured out why her daughter didn't tell her that she hadn't gotten married, right? So Angela said the reason why Amari didn't tell her that she had gotten married is because she knew that Angela, wouldn't approve of it. And let me clear it up. Approve is not that she didn't approve of her marrying her partner, because she even had to clarify that. She's like, they've been together since they were 16. She said, but Amari is 23. And she just feels like it's, Amari was too young to get married. And honestly, I share the same sentiment. I don't understand why kids get married in their 20s, because like I've told you guys plenty of times before, I had two classmates that got married fresh out of high school. Like, they got married literally after our graduation. I was 17 when I graduated high school, and most of my friends were, if we weren't 17, they were 18, right? So they got married right out of high school, and their marriage only lasted a year. And I think they got married because they were pregnant at the time, but their marriage literally only lasted a year, and they're remarried to other people currently. So I agree with Angela when it comes to the whole, like, not getting married young. I definitely agree with that part. What up, D? You say flop Mia is going down in flames. I honestly have secondhand. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you kind of brought her up, because I want to talk about her real. Well, no, I don't want to talk about Shamea just yet, because it's gonna come up later. Because Shamea, oh God, Shamea, girl, because you still coming at Drew, like you're coming at Drew. Because Drew posted, is that coming up next? It's not next, but something that Drew said in the reunion. Drew posted the receipt for it, and Shamea is still doubling down on Drew is lying. Is Drew a liar? Yes, she is. Because Drew's gonna later ask her, what did she lie about? Drew, you lied about being Michael Jordan's cousin, and you're not his cousin. Because Angela says she talked to Marcus. But okay, Shamea's going that bad. She is. But here's the thing, you guys. Y'all have to remember, I called it. If you guys go back to my reviews, I actually called Shamea out. I still like Shamea, but I saw Shamea. I started to see Shamea for who she was towards the second half of the season. I started to see, and I was like, "Oh, Shamea is that type of friend." Which again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but Shamea is that type of Shamea. Let me say this. I can say this without getting ahead of myself. Shamea is the kind of person that I would never in my life want to be friends with. I don't want. I don't ever want a friend like Shamea around me because it wouldn't go well at all. I don't ever want somebody like Shamea in my presence as my friend because that's not a friend. So we move on. So Angela Angela said that so Andy asked Angela about the rental properties, right? So Angela said that she walked away from the rental properties. She said they were $100,000 a month. God dang, that is a lot of money. $100,000 a month. Do you know what I could do with that? Oh God, do you know what I could do with $100,000 a month? Bitch, I wouldn't even be working. I wouldn't even be going. I wouldn't have a job right now. Like I would. My God, 100,000 a month. The things I could do with that, but neither here nor there, right? So she also talked about, the fact that losing her mom that kind of contributed to it, and she said, coming onto this platform, this was something that she and her mom wanted to do. And once again, I do want to say rest in peace to Angela's mom. And I want to, extend a prayer, prayers, thoughts, and well wishes to Angela. It's the worst thing to ever go through, losing your mother. That is something that I know all too well. My mom has been gone for 8 years. So I definitely know what it feels like to lose your mother. And that is not something I would even wish on my worst enemy ever in life. Like I don't wish that on anybody, to have to go through the loss of your mother, especially if you're close to her, right? So then, like I said, Angela said that her mom wanted to come on this show to tell her story about bipolarism. And next, a viewer asked the question if Angela feels that Drew had her back the way that Angela had hers. And Angela says no, because they brought up the Bailey Q where Drew was over there talking to that man. And in her interview, she was singing, a Negro spiritual. And she said no, she didn't believe that Drew had her back. And so Drew was like, well, I apologize, Angela. She's like, I was there for everything, even with that guy, Marcus. And she was like, you were, and Angela was like, yeah, you were there until the end. Like you weren't there the whole time. And even Portia's like, yeah, you left. You left. And I was like, oh. And so Drew was like, well, I'm sorry. I couldn't be there the way that, you needed me with what I was going through. And I was like, Drew, Drew, Drew. Okay, yes, we know you're going through a lot with Ralph, but why does that dictate how you show up for your friends? That's just a question that I have for Drew. Why does that dictate how you show up for your friends? So then Shamea decides she wants to chime in. I was like, Shamea, if you don't shut the fuck up. Shamea was getting on my nerves. Literally and figuratively, Shamea was getting on my nerves. So Shamea asked the question of why is it okay for Drew to make an excuse about not supporting Angela when it comes down to Shamea and her defending, her and Portia's relationship. She feels that it was picked apart. Here's the thing, Shamea, you allowed these women to pick apart your relationship with Porsha. That's the difference. You allow people to pitch you and your quote unquote best friend against each other. And we'll get in, like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit. But you allowed it, Shamea, because here's the thing: if you have this great relationship with your best friend, you're not gonna let people come in and especially people who don't know y'all, who haven't been around y'all as for a long time. It would be one thing if Phaedra said something. It would be one thing if Kenya said something. It would be one thing if Cynthia said something. They have been around y'all for over a decade. Kelly, Britt, and Angela have just recently met y'all. So why would you allow them to have any kind of an input on your relationship with your best friend? And then why would you even give them ammunition to use against your best friend? So shut up, Shamea. Kiwan says Shamea is desperate. She is. And I don't know what she's desperate for, but she's desperate for something. So next up, we move on. So Andy asked Phaedra, why didn't she come to this reunion and not the Married to Medicine reunion? So Phaedra says, she's always been a housewife. So this is basically, her baby. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. But she also did say that when it comes to the Married to Medicine women, she felt like they didn't value her or see her for her worth. Phaedra, that's a lie. You just mad that those women didn't play. Was Heavenly wrong? Which we talked about it. Was Heavenly full of shit? Yes. We know who Heavenly is. We know what Heavenly does. But Phaedra, I'm not gonna let you go too deep on the Married to Medicine women like that. But moving on. So Andy did ask Phaedra about being a big sister to Britt. And she said that, she saw Britt self-sabotaging, so she just wanted to kind of step in, right? So then Kelly and Shamea chime in, right? So Kelly is a liar too, right? So Kelly is saying that, Shamea and Shamea had a conversation with her too. We talked to her at Houston's, right? So then Kelly and Shamea both want to sit here and say that, oh, well, Phaedra, she wasn't a fan of, she didn't like you, she wasn't feeling you. And, Shamea says that when I was talking to her, I was telling her, like me and you, we're in a good space. So I don't really need that from her. Shamea, I don't buy that. And here's why I don't buy it, Shamea. Because on the after show, when Kelly was talking about how nice Phaedra was, you literally said out of your mouth, are you saying that? Are you trying to convince yourself or me of that? Why would you say that if you and Phaedra are in such a good space? Are you trying to convince you or me? And that's again why I say I never want a friend like, I don't want a friend like Shamea, and I damn sure don't want an acquaintance like Shamea. Because her and Phaedra ain't even friends, they're acquaintances. And I damn sure don't want nobody in my circle that's like Shamea. Because I can't talk, that's some shit that I just can't tolerate. But again, like I said, I'll definitely get to it once I get to it, right? So after that, yeah, Shamia said that she and Phaedra were in a good spot and she didn't need that. So then Phaedra was like, she mentioned people having strong conclusions after one experience. And Angela was like, is that directed towards me? And she was like, it could be. And she's like, when your mom died, she's like, I reached out to you and I genuinely meant what I said. And Angela was like, well, I hope you did. She said, I did, right? So then we said, so a viewer asked the question is, why is it easy? And this is for Porsha. So the viewer asked Porsha, why is it easy to be cool with Phaedra after Phaedra lied on her best friend and she put Porsha in a bad position, right? So Porsha says, it was time. And then after all that time, we actually had a conversation. And the person also asked, where's the grace for Shamea? So Porsha says that, she's not saying that there can't be it can't happen for Shamea, but for me personally, it wouldn't happen for Shamea. I just got to be real with you guys. Me personally, it damn sure wouldn't be for Shamea. After listening to this, after seeing what I saw on social media, yeah, Shamea, like I also told you guys during the season, I now see why Porsha and Shamea have been friends for as long as they have been. Porsha and Shamea have similarities. They're not the exact same person, but they definitely have similarities with each other, right? So another viewer asked the question if Shamea gave if this is to Porsha, if Porsha gave no. Okay, so this was for Porsha. Yeah, the viewer asked Porsha if she gave Phaedra a pass too soon after making it seem like Shamea was community property, right? And so Shamea says that she never sat down with both of them to resolve it, but both Porsha and Phaedra clocked Shamea because Porsha was like, but you and I definitely had a conversation about it, and we moved past it. And Phaedra was like, and yeah, when I was coming back to the show, I reached out to you. You and I, we had a conversation about it, right? And so Shamea's still saying, but I never had a conversation with you two together. That's not the point, Shamea. Like, you've had a conversation with both of them. You've addressed how you felt about Porsha not signing with you when it came to Phaedra. You talked to Phaedra about what she said about you when it came to you fucking Candy and Todd. So you've had a conversation with both of them. It might not have been at the same fucking time, but you've had a conversation with them. And this is why I say I don't want a friend like Shamea in my life, right? So Shamea, so actually after that, Phaedra says that she felt the way about the things that Shamea was saying in her interviews about her, and I clocked that as well because remember, she also talked about Britt in her interview that Britt said something so bad about her child, which I don't agree with Britt bringing up your child, but she didn't say anything the way that you made it seem. Shamea, you made it seem like Britt was talking about your child's disability. That is a problem that I have with Shamea. So Shamea says that she's moved on, but Angela said no, you didn't move on because you brought it up at Portia's Pamper by Porsha event, and even Cynthia chimed in and said, "Yeah, you did bring it up." And Cynthia was like, "Shamea, it's okay to say, I'm not okay with that. I still feel a way about that, and that is true." And that's why I say I don't want a friend like Shamia. Don't sit here with me, have a conversation with me. I think we're good and we've moved on, but you still sit here and harbor ill feelings and resentment towards me for something that you and I have had a conversation about. Like, that's some bullshit, right? And then Shamia was like, well, Phaedra, I never really got an apology from you because you were saying to me, because you kind of played it off like, you and Candy were going through some things and made it seem like I was just collateral damage. So Phaedra was like, you know what? She apologizes to Shamia. And Shamia's like, well, going forward, I'll say that she apologized to me. Shamia, you may say that she apologized to you, but you're going to still use it to your advantage. And again, that's why I said a friend like Shamia is something that I never want to have. So Andy, they broke for 45 minutes to, go to lunch, right? So the main thing that I want to talk about, and I know that this was on Peacock as well, was that Shamea was backstage with Kelly, right? And Shamea is saying that she did try to form an alliance with Porsha, right? With the girls. I was like, Shamea, is it you tried to form an alliance with her, or did you form the alliance with Porsha in it? Like, you not coming off looking good in this situation, Shamea. Not at all. So we also, and she said, what do I look like, trying to form an alliance and not including my best friend? You look like a shitty person, but neither here nor there. We also saw Ralph backstage getting his hair cut. Dennis went to talk to him. He asked Dennis what it was like working with Drew. Then they talked about the album. Ralph said he didn't know that the whole album was going to be about him. Dennis says that, Drew brought a picture of Ralph to the studio with her. Don't care. Moving back onto the stage. Now, when we get back to the stage, we start talking about Kenya and Britt, and Andy said that they have a statement from both Kenya and Britt. Now, the statements from both Kenya and Britt were Kenya's Twitter post, how she wishes that she was at the reunion, how she apologized to the cast, the crew, Britt, and everybody. And then you guys remember Britt's statement on Instagram that she wasn't, by now, everybody knew she wasn't at the reunion, how she saw the video, how she saw the, the footage, and that wasn't her in the footage and all that kind of stuff, right? So then Shamea says that she feels that Britt may have played into it because I guess Britt and Kelly that night, they went out with each other, and Shamea saying that Britt was in good spirits. Now here's my thing, Shamea. You do know that just like you, because you do it just because we see now that you do it, right? People can put on a good front and a face even if they are going through things. I do it all the time. Even if I'm not in the best mood and my friends want to take me out to get my mind off of things, I can put on a happy face and still feel away. So two things can be true, Shamia. Again, you're someone that I realize now does that. And Kelly is chiming in. I'm sick of Kelly. So Andy mentioned that Britt was on Watch What Happens Live, right? and Britt felt that Kenya was coming for her. And so Andy asked the ladies, do you guys feel that Kenya was coming for Britt? And everybody says no. And even I agree with that. Kenya wasn't coming for Britt. And I remember the episode, I think it was the first episode, right? Where Kenya met the girl. Now, Britt, like I said in my review, you do have on an engagement ring. You don't have a wedding band on. So I think that would confuse me too to see you with a wedding just an engagement ring on and not a wedding band. I would wonder, like, are you getting married? Are you currently married? Like, are you engaged? Just like, what was the situation? And I think he was just being funny and not being serious when it comes down to it. But Britt took it so seriously, right? I honestly feel like Britt and Kelly came into this season wanting to go at Kenya and Porsha with them being the vets of the show. And I also don't want to say that real quick. You guys, there is a clear difference between the word veteran and OG. Y'all know the OGs are the original girls, right? So the OGs of Atlanta, Nene, Kim, Sheree, Lisa Wu, and Deshawn, they're the OGs. Now, the veterans of this show are the girls who have come after them, right? Candy is a vet. Phaedra's a vet. Cynthia's a vet. Kenya's a vet. Portia's a vet. Claudia's a vet. Kim Fields, Shamari, Eva, Giovanna from Clark. Like, those girls are veterans. They're not OGs. So if we bring any of them back, those girls would be considered vets, not OGs. Sheree, when she said that she was an OG, she was using the term correctly because Sheree is an OG of the show. Just want to say that. So then, Angela also said that, that was the reason why she asked the question at the vault, why Kenya has an issue with Britt, so that way that she could address it, right? So a viewer asked the question of Cynthia, like, why does she have grace for Britt and none for Kenya? And that has been my thing this entire season. Like, y'all, a lot of y'all have been on Cynthia's ass so hard this season. And it's not the fact that Cynthia didn't have grace for Kenya. I don't think some of y'all know what it means to be a friend with somebody. You can still be somebody's friend and not go along with the bullshit that they do, right? Like, you can still be a friend. You can still absolutely be somebody's friend and tell your friend when they're wrong. That doesn't make you any less of my friend. If you say, oh, if my best friend, if I did something and my best friend was like, oh, JB, I don't really agree with what you did. I think you could have handled it a different way. I wouldn't look at my best friend and be like, oh, so you're taking that person's side and not my side. I want my friends to hold me accountable. I want my friends to tell me when I'm wrong. I don't want my friends to be like, oh, bitch, you did that. That was the right thing to do, even if it was the wrong thing to do. Like, I just don't want people like that. Like I said about Shamea, I don't want a friend like Shamea, but I also don't want a friend that's just going to go along with everything that I say, even if what I say is wrong. Let's just be real about the situation. I want a real friend that is going to tell me when I'm right and tell me when I'm wrong. And with my best friend, she's definitely told me some times where she was like, I get why you did what you did, but you probably shouldn't have done it, right? And there's one particular situation that I did something. She did laugh at what I did, and she definitely did tell me, like, I get why you did it, but she was like, she was like, I probably wouldn't have done it, but you did what you thought you had to do. And that's it. So then Portia said that, she saw Kenya's reaction when it came to Britt. So she became protective of Kenya. And she said that she knew um, that Kenya got that information about Britt from a castmate. And she said she wanted to shape how she put it out there. Now, what I will say is, Portia, I don't believe you. I'm going to be real. I don't believe you, Portia. So Shamia says, well, Portia, you said that Kenya said she got it from a castmate. Well, who was the castmate? So Portia says Drew. And Drew said, no, when I talked to Kenya said that she got it from a PI. I'm not going to, unearth that again because I don't want to talk about that whole Kenya situation and where she got the information from, who she got it from. I don't want to talk about it. Drew says that it wasn't her, right? So then Cynthia says that, the last time that she talked to Kenya, she hasn't talked to Kenya. That was the last time that she actually talked to Kenya. And I really feel bad for Cynthia. I really did feel bad for Cynthia. But you guys can definitely tell me what you think and what you feel, and we can go ahead and move on. Now, you guys, I don't remember where it was in the episode, and I think no, it's coming up. It's coming up. So we move on to Shamea. Shamea. Ma'am, this didn't make you look like this segment right here. You do not look good coming out of it. So we show Shamea's package, right? So she started crying after Andy mentioned what Britt said, her and Britt arguing, right? And she got pissed off about Britt mentioning her child. Now, Shamea, I'm gonna say something a little later because I'm gonna defend Britt. Not what Britt said about not Britt bringing up your child, but I will defend Britt when it comes to your husband. We'll talk about that in just a minute, right? So she said it pissed her off and it bothered her to her core because she wouldn't make up anything like that about her child, and I don't think she would, right? But that's not at all what Britt was saying. Britt wasn't saying that you were lying about your child being sick. Britt was questioning if your child was sick, why did you go to Miami with Kelly and take shots instead of going back to Atlanta to be with your child? But again, I'm gonna mention that in just a few minutes, right? Because it's gonna play into what I'm gonna say. Because if you were asked a question, if she, when it comes to Shamea and Gerald and is having a baby, is this like a mandate? Is this something that he wants, she has to do for her husband, right? And Shamea says, no, this is not something that, she has to do for him. This is something that she wants to do for him, right? And so this leads me to what Britt was saying. Your child was sick, right? You were in Grenada. Y'all left Grenada and you went to Miami and not back to Atlanta. But while you were in Grenada on a cash trip with your job, with your girl, with your friends, your husband calls you and upsets you. Why come your husband didn't take your daughter to a doctor? Or like why come your husband didn't say, you know what, Shamea is out of the country, she's doing this for her job, or even if it was just a girls trip, a real girls trip with her friends. Shamea's on a girls trip with her girls. Let me not upset her. Let me not bother her. Let me take our child, not your child, our child, to get the medical care that she needs. So then it begs the question of why are you trying to give him a son? Because it does seem like from what we saw in that clip, in that episode, is Gerald hands-on? And I'm not saying that he's not a hands-on father. I'm just asking the question. So, yeah, Shamea, that's what Britt was calling out. Not you lying about your daughter. She was questioning everything that happened. Your husband calling you. Shit, here's the thing. I get that this is y'all's job. Bitch, if my child is really sick like that, I would have told Bravo and production. I'd be like, you know what? I get that we're getting paid for this and all that kind of stuff, but I got to get home to my child and check on my child. But again, I'm not defending what Britt said, but I get, but the way that Shamea has framed it this entire season, ma'am, no, let's not play that game, Shamea. So then, a viewer also asked a question about her shading Drew and her singing, and also being in Porsha's shadow, right? Now, when it comes to being in Porsha's shadow, she says she doesn't mind sharing the spotlight and supporting her friends. Okay, Shamea, if you like it, I love it, right? Now, she also did say that she's very proud of Drew, and she never shaded her music. She just shaded her song, which that is true. She did shade Drew's song, and Drew was like, but you were at the radio station. And Shamea, when she was at the radio station, Shamea was saying Drew didn't speak 5 languages. But in the song, Drew is not saying she speaks 5 languages. Well, she is saying she speaks 5 languages, but she doesn't mean 5 different languages like English, Spanish, French, Mandarin, or give me another language. Whatever. But she's not saying she speaks 5 different languages. She was saying she speaks 5 love languages. And Drew brought out the different 5 the book on love languages. And that's what she was talking about. I was like, Shamea, My God, Shamea, you looking really bad. Universe Soul God, as you say, I had really high hopes for Shamea. I did too. And again, like I say, I still like Shamea, but I'm actually starting to see Shamea for who she is. And like I said earlier in the season, well, not earlier, but midway through the season, Shamea is the type of friend that she does all these things for her friends to show people that, oh, I am a good friend to you. But then she can paint you off. If you do something bad to her, she can paint you off like, oh, I've been such a good friend to her, but she hasn't reciprocated the things that I give to her. And we'll talk about it in just a minute because it came to fruition what I've been saying all season, right? So then Drew said that Shamea called her a liar, and Shamea said, but you are a liar. And Drew said, name them. So Shamea brings up this Judith Lieber bag. I said, the Judith Lieber bag, the easiest lie that Drew told this season was that she was cousins to Michael Jordan when Angela said that she talked to Marcus and Marcus said that they're not cousins. But you want to go with this fucking Judith Lieberman bag, this Judith Lieber bag. So Drew said, girl, that is the truth. I bought that bag. She said, I'll post the receipts. So Drew did post the receipts last night after the reunion aired. And she did buy that bag. April 2nd or 22nd of last year, she bought that bag. So Shamea decides to come back today and say that Drew's receipts are not real receipts. Because Shamea said on the episode that Drew, girl, you're gonna go home and buy that bag and say you bought it. But Drew literally bought that fucking bag, Shamea. Like, Shamea, my God, girl, you just, yeah, this one, I don't know. This one is Shamea. This was not it. So after that, we take a break. And so we came back. So Andy, he asked Porsha if she thought that Britt was being malicious when she brought up the text messages. So Porsha says, yes, she felt that Britt was being malicious. And that she also felt that Britt was doing this because she was thrown out of the alliance, right? But Porsha said that the text messages were her text. Good afternoon. Yeah, like he won't say good morning, but good afternoon, New Dawn. Arguing over a bag. Yes, that's what Shamea is doing today. Excuse me, y'all. Shamea is arguing with Drew over a bag, and Shamea is arguing with Porsha over the receipts that Porsha posted on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. But if you guys watch the extended version of the show on Bravo, I'm not on Bravo, on Peacock, the same receipts that Porsha posted on her social media, she showed it in the reunion. They just edited out. So Kelly says that, excuse me, y'all. Y'all remember Kelly is, excuse me. So y'all remember Kelly is at this meeting with Britt and Shamea. Kelly, I do like you, but I'm starting to see that you lied too, right? Because she says that I was there, but I don't remember seeing, I didn't see no text message from Shamea. I said, girl, I don't care who tell it as long as it's told, right? So then Drew says, well, you are lying, Shamea. And Shamea's like, why are you chiming in? Because you were not there. So Drew says, well, when me and you and Angela went out, you told us that. And you told us that, when it came down to you getting your peach, that Porsha didn't celebrate you. And she said, yeah, Porsha didn't celebrate me because Porsha was going through something at the time, right? And so Porsha was like, so did I not celebrate her or did I not congratulate her? So Drew said, well, it was both, that you didn't congratulate her or celebrate her. So Porsha said, well, I sent her some flowers. So Porsha shows the video of Shamea with the flowers, and she's also posted it on social media. And there is a card, and the card, it has a note. The note does say congratulations to Shamea, but Shamea now wants to say, oh, Porsha sent that a month later, and it was my birthday. And people are trying to defend that, saying, oh, well, she sent it was a birthday gift. Who the fuck says congratulations on a fucking birthday? Like, who says congratulations on your birthday? But Porsha did send her flowers, right? So Porsha says that she's been a very good friend to Shamea, and Shamea said, "You have been a good friend to me." I was like, "Wow, Shamea." So she has been a good friend to you, but you've never like. It's so weird to me. Like I say, I don't want a friend like Shamea. I don't want a friend like Shamea. So then Porsha also showed a video, which this video is also on social media, of Porsha and Shamea at her wedding in Atlanta. Well, Porsha says it's a wedding. It's a wedding. Shamea says it's not a wedding. It's her dowry. So Porsha says, "Well, does your husband not think it was a wedding?" And she's like, "No, he does." And I was like, "Huh, Shamea, ma'am, you ain't looking good." And so Shamea, like I said, Shamea is now on social media trying to say, "Oh, that wasn't a wedding. That wasn't a wedding, Porsha. That was my dowry." And oh, the flowers that you sent to me, those flowers were after I got my peach. I had my peach for a whole month, and you sent those after. That was around my birthday. Shamea, again, like I said, the way you flipping and flopping, like D called you flop Mia, girl, you flipping and flopping. Flippity floppity, flippity floppity. So Andy asked, "What is the current status of Portia and Shamea's friendship?" And there was an awkward pause between both of them. And eventually they both said that there is no relationship, right? And so after that, Portia said that she didn't like the interviews that Shamea did because she said she did an interview with Candy where Candy asked if which I kind of remember this interview because it was a speak on it that if y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but Shamea did a speak on it with Candy early in the season, and I didn't watch the speak on it. I know I might have to go back and watch because I know Scotty did a review on it, so I may have to go back and watch it because I know from the clips that I did see, Candy did ask Shamea if Portia congratulated her or said anything to her when she got her peach, but Shamea said no, but then she had to come back and kind of clean it up and say, "Well, she did call me, right?" And so Portia feels like, Shamea's also now used the fans against her because the fans knew that Portia didn't go to her wedding in Africa, which if you guys go back to some of my reviews that I've said that I've said it that I felt like Shamea was utilizing the fans against Portia to drive home this narrative that, oh, Shamea has been such a good friend to Portia, but Portia has not reciprocated that. And do I think that Portia has been a good friend to Shamea? No, I don't. But as we can see, Portia and Shamea have had conversations about everything that Shamea probably has felt ways about, but Shamea has harbored those feelings, and instead of actually resolving it, Shamea has held on to it and came into this season and allowed these new girls to drive a wedge between she and Portia. You guys can agree, disagree. It is what it is. These are my opinions, and I'm gonna say how I feel. So Shamea is still saying that it wasn't a wedding. So Portia also mentioned it was season 9, you guys, or season 8? That remember when Shamea got married and Shamea had that bridal shower at and Candy, I think Candy threw it for her, right? And remember, Candy and well, not Candy, let me not say Candy. Carmen made the comment about Portia's, she can't sit down, but she's so used to her legs being up, right? And they laughed about that. So Portia mentioned that, right? So Portia also mentioned the alliance and Shamea. This is where I clocked you last week that you were lying about Portia being in this alliance, but I really clocked it in this week's episode because Shamea says, "Portia, I tried to include you in that alliance." Shamea, is it you tried to include her in it, or was she in the alliance? So Shamea said that they were, Shamea says that they were so early in the season when this happened that she was trying to tell Britt and Kelly, like, we're the young girls and we should get along with Portia. And Portia was like, why would I be in alliance with Kelly, who was coming after me, and Britt, who I didn't even really know? And I was like, she made a valid point. New Dawn says, this is so unfortunate. I love the friendship of what we, yeah, I mean, I did too. But as the age old saying goes, friendships are just like any other relationship. They all have their ebbs and their flows, right? You have some people in your life for a lifetime, and some people are in your life just for a season. And I think at this point, Portia and Shamea's relationship was a seasonal relationship, right? I think that they have outgrown each other, and unfortunately, we're seeing the dissolution of that friendship. So Andy mentioned that Porsha posted a birthday message for Shamea, and Shamea's like, "Yeah," and it was so sweet, and I liked it, right? And then Shamea then mentioned a post that Porsha made about her mother and this egregious thing that she did, and that's really where the reunion ended. Now, I'm trying to remember the timeline too, because remember, Portia's birthday is the end of June. When the hell I'm trying to remember? I know when they filmed this reunion, it was early. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind, because I was about to say, did they film this reunion before Portia's birthday or after? But they filmed this reunion after Portia's birthday. So, because remember, Shamea posted this friendship. It's if they are able to mend this friendship, I would be shocked if they. But I mean, how do you do this? Like, this is why I say I would never ever do a reality show with my friends. It would never happen, especially my best friend. It would never happen because, like I said earlier in the season, I would never let anybody come between, because their friendship is what, at least 20, 30 years. They've known each other since they were in middle school, high school, and they're both in their 40s. So yikes. But that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about part 2 of the reunion. I'm gonna hop off of here. So what's next, you guys? I completely forgot about Divorce Sisters. I apologize about that. I forgot about Divorce Sisters on Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday I slept all day, so I forgot about it. So Divorce Sisters, that will be up later today. It's currently 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna get off of here, go get something to eat, and watch Beyond the Gates. And after I finish Beyond the Gates, then I'll get ready to do Baddies and Divorce Sisters. So those should be up towards about 4:30 this afternoon, between 4 and 5 my time. You guys should see them. And that is it, you guys. Once again, be sure to like the video, the live for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel already. Share the video. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. So as always, you guys, please do me a solid favor. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in Baddies and in Divorce Sisters. Bye, y'all.